Good evening, everyone. It's June 26th. It's 5:30. We're doing a briefing here on the South Fork Fire, Salt Fire, and this is our community meeting. Just want to welcome everybody on YouTube, and we have a Zoom meeting that if you have a question, please put your questions in, and then after the presentation, we will have a question and answer period in there. So if I could, Brad Johnson, he is with the Southwest Incident Management Team, Incident Commander in training. So Brad, if you could just touch on a little things on what you guys are doing now.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for inviting me into the chambers. Really appreciate it. So currently the South Fork fire is 69% contained. They are increasing the completion dramatically. On the west or the eastern side of the flank, as they're working and navigating in their way through around the areas affected by the structures, they are slow going on getting the containment in there. There's no forward progression at all from the fire at all. They're just, there's a lot of traffic in there. So we're working in conjunction with the utility companies, all of them, USAR, everybody, to make sure that we can safely access and secure the edge. There is no threat to the line all the way around the fire right now on the whole perimeter, just letting everybody know. As these rain stores come on in, the rain is slowly dissipating the heat sources that we're seeing. So right now, we're identifying those heat sources with infrared flights and drone infrared flights in the whole fire's perimeter for the South Fork, and sending people in there and seeking and destroying them all as they pop up every evening, and the next morning we wake up and do that. The phases have been related to weather. As we all know, the storms come in the afternoon, so we try to get people up and into the mountains early, and then as the weather conditions put in those warnings, we bring people down off the fire. So that's working well. So expect increase in containment in and around the community. Over on the western edge, in what we call Division Alpha in the Mescalero reservation out there, that's going to take a while. Pretty rugged terrain and things like that. So we do ask about the people not flying their drones, their personal drones in the area. We are getting the technology to be able to inhibit that to happen. So if you don't want to lose your drone, then I would suggest not using them in the next few days. So that's the report for that fire. The Salt Fire is also 66% contained at 7,939 acres. They're making significant progress around that fire as well, with a lot of hotshot crews in remote terrain. So with that being said, there's still 949 people assigned to the fire. So there's a lot of firefighter traffic around, and we're based out of Ruidoso High School, and as well as the middle school for the base camp for all the firefighters. So that's what I got.
Thank you very much, Brad. Next, we'll go to, thank you, Brad. Next, we'll go to USAR, Ernie Rhodes, Operation Chief with FEMA.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and elected officials. Urban Search and Rescue Operations, currently we arrived into the area of operation Saturday afternoon, and we received our operational brief. We started operations at approximately 4 p.m. on Saturday. We brought the resources of Arizona Task Force 1, which is a Type 3 team, with water in-bed rescue resources. Total staffing on that team is 49. And then Colorado Task Force 1 is a Type 3 team, also with a water rescue capability of 45 staff. We have a total staff of FEMA Urban Search and Rescue of 157 total staff. We also have 20 canine human remains detection canines that we also utilized. We were charged with searching all damaged structures inside the burned area, what we call a secondary search. We were looking for missing and human remains. We achieved this by utilizing our human detection canine dogs and our rescue squads for also visual analysis, or visual observation of the damage and looking through the debris. Like I said, we started at 4 p.m. on Saturday the 22nd. We searched a total of about 13,000 structures. I'm happy to report we did not find any human remains. And report, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Ernie. That's great. And I might add to that on our missing list is now being brought to 0. So all the folks that we had on the missing list is now at 0. Next, we're going to go to County Manager Randall Camp.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The county is moving on several fronts as far as getting properly positioned for the recovery efforts, debris removal, working within RCS, also working with FEMA to be able to help take care of the county residents and offer them some options as far as some recovery money. So that will be posted out on the website tomorrow. We're lifting the exclusion zones. They've been lifted in Alto, some of them. Now, the one that we're holding off on is Cedar Creek because of the high risk of flooding, especially with the weather forecast as it is tonight and possibly tomorrow. Cedar Creek is a really bad actor, folks. You don't want to be up there. We're still trying to figure out what it's going to do with these rains. So it's an unsafe situation at best. Alto Lakes Golf and Country Club, they are now open. People in that area and across the street, they can come in. The traffic control points have been removed. So we just ask everyone to please be safe and aware that if you're out looking at your home, it's not like it used to be, and it is very dangerous. There are a lot of nails, there are a lot of rusty metal. You really don't know what's in there, so please be careful and do not start the debris removal until we have the FEMA team in place because they will assist you with the funding of the debris removal, and we will coordinate with you and get a property release form from you to allow the contractors to work on your property to remove the debris. Otherwise, you do it at your own risk and your own cost, which I would advise against. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we want to go back to the USAR Ernie Rhodes that had a correction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would go back. I misspoke. I think it's been kind of a long day. I said 13,000 structures. I meant 1,300. My apologies, sir.
Well, I was puckering up a little bit there, but I appreciate you correcting that one. I hadn't heard that one. So next we'll go to the White Mountain Relief Center, the shelter, Ryan Williams out of Sierra County.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Ryan Williams, EOC Liaison. The White Mountain Relief Center is located at the White Mountain Recreation Complex on 687 Hull Road. We have a company that came in and set up a really nice infrastructure. There's currently 380 beds available there. There's some single dormitory rooms, and there's also 6 count rooms. They also have laundry services, which they'll take your laundry, give you a ticket, do the laundry, fold it, and give it back to you. We have restrooms, a really big dining hall that's air conditioned, and we also have some services right now established. FEMA and Red Cross have disaster relief services there, so you can register and get some relief services for your crew. And then we also have a national team with the Department of Health that will be in about July 3rd. This is Crisis Incident Stress Management. So there are signage along the road that will lead you into the complex. End of report, sir.
Thank you, and that's off Hull Road, White Mountain. Everybody knows where that's at, next to the dog park and the pickleball courts. Next, we'll go to access to exclusion zones, no entry zones. Deputy Chief Minner.
Thank you, Mayor. So over the last couple of days, we've been fortunate working with our partners, be that with the USAR and the utilities, to get people back into the affected areas. We've been able to open everything north of Cedar Creek in the village of Ruidoso, all the way up 48. So we have nothing north of Cedar Creek that is restricted any longer. And the only thing that we're holding right now is the back half of Ponderosa Heights and Flume Canyon and going into the Upper Canyon. We are currently working with our partners still to determine what hazards are there and how we can best get people back in those, and we're working that as fast as we can do at this time.
Thank you, DC. Next, we'll have a debris removal discussion with our two, come on up, gentlemen, emergency managers, Eric Queller with the village, the EOC manager, and our chief. You have to give me your title here in a minute, and then Brian Sampson with the county emergency.
Oh, well, hello. Thanks. It's been a long time. It's been a long few weeks. Eric Queller, Emergency Manager, Village of Ruidoso, and then Brian Sampson, County Emergency Manager for Lincoln County, so my counterpart. We're matching today. We're wearing white. And we do that because we're a unified command structure, and we started that from the beginning of this incident. In order for the community to heal and move forward, we have to do it together. And so from the very beginning, me and Brian, early that morning, on Monday morning, we were in constant communication with each other. Hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. What do you see? What's happening? And so before we get into debris removal, I just wanted to say a very appreciative and heartfelt thanks to my county counterpart. I couldn't do this alone. And with Ryan, with Sierra County, Amanda with Doña County, we have a lot of local and state emergency managers that have come to the aid of Ruidoso and Lincoln County. So I just want to say thank you for your help and support in our disaster. So kind of touching on the debris removal, I know County Manager talked a little bit about it with the private property debris removal. And so with that, that was a lesson learned out of Hermit's Peak, Calf Canyon. And so that conversation, unfortunately, had to happen here as well. So we were notified a couple of weeks ago, or days ago rather, about, hey, this is an option for you. Do you want to take advantage of this? And so we briefed the elected body and said, yes, I think we do want to take advantage of this. But again, it's up to the individual house owner to take advantage of this system. And so what this is a private contractor sanctioned by the state government that will help aid you clean your property during this time of disaster. And so you will go get a form. They'll call you individually. We will make sure that contractor is vetted and has the appropriate accreditations. So it's just not this person coming in, doing this work, and then you'll flip the bill. No, this is at the state level to come into your property. Again, you will get a waiver. You'll sign the waiver, but it's for that entity to come in and assist you, clear that off, move along. So what are the benefits of this? The benefits are that you, as the property owner, don't have to do that. You don't have to do labor-intensive work and remove that all to the right-of-way, and then us, as the local governing body, have to come in, clear the right-of-way, remove it. It's all done through that contractor. And so as of this morning, it was submitted through the county. County passed it through their county commissioners, and it's sitting at the governor's office level. And so we're waiting for the governor's office to approve that, and then we'll start that chain reaction of events to get the forms and outreach to the community members that are affected by this fire. And so with that, be expecting a couple of calls within the next couple of days from the contractor to start that whole process of getting the forms filled out, vetted, and all of that. But it is dependent on the governor, and she is still working and looking at, the best advantages and stuff. But that was communicated to us by DHSCM, Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for the state of New Mexico, that this is an incredible option to our affected communities.
Thank you very much, Brian. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I just want to piggyback what Eric said, that this community came together like it always does. And it took the team, it took from the federal level down, it took all of us to make this machine work. And I think we have been very effective and very efficient in our operations. And it's a heartfelt thank you from us to everybody, because we couldn't have done this without any of you. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I know you've had a lot of hard work, and we appreciate everything that you've done. Hang around for questions. Next, if we could get a report from our hospital, Todd Overhue, please come up. And while we're doing that, flood insurance has been made available after this event. And I know that those of you who are on Zoom, we will have the phone number and email address for the individual that you can call and ask questions. If you're in a flood-prone area, this is your chance to get it. And also for those of you that are on YouTube that you can't see the chat, is that right, Carrie? Okay, the phone number is 505 919-8955. Again, the phone number is 505-919-8955. And the gentleman's name is Heath DeBro. Just let's call him Heath. Next, Todd. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very pleased to announce that the hospital is fully operational as of today. We brought pretty much all the services online on Monday, but we did have to hold off on obstetrics in the operating room just because of the concern with the communication stability within the area. But today we brought it online, obstetrics as well. Pleased to announce that we already delivered a baby at the hospital just not too long ago, and so everything's fine at the hospital. So if you have any concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the hospital, and we'll be glad to try to address anything that you have and get that fixed for you. So, but we're up and running.
Thank you so much, and thank your staff. That means a lot.
Yes, sir.
Also, if we can have the P&M representative, Wes Gray, come up, and he can give you a little briefing on all the work that his company's doing. Good evening, Wes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. We have ramped up our restoration efforts here in the village. We have 33 line crews operating right now. Those line crews are from as far away as Southern California. We have 5 crews from Southern California Edison. We have crews from Tucson, El Paso Electric, P&M crews from all across southern New Mexico, Silver City, Deming, Alamogordo, and our Ruidoso crew, and P&M crews from northern New Mexico, Albuquerque and Santa Fe are all down here. In total, we have about 202 personnel in doing line restoration work, vegetation management, and clearing work so we can rebuild these lines and support personnel working on this. In a lot of the areas where the fire impacted, our lines were completely destroyed, so we're gonna have to completely rebuild those sections. It's gonna take us a little bit of time, but just yesterday, those crews replaced 69 poles, and we restored about 400, service to 400 premises within, just so far today. The crews are still out there working. They'll be working 16-hour days, so we're in at 5 a.m., we're working to 9 p.m. and cranking away as hard as we can. From the P&M front, I know there's some customers who have reached out to us about their bills and fees. I know we've got a lot of folks who really want to pay on time. P&M has waived late fees for residents of the village of Ruidoso that we serve. The automatic withdrawals that would come out, if they've set that up to pay automatically, those have been suspended for the time being. We're really focused on, hey, we understand you may need cash to get back on your feet. We don't want to do anything surprising and have that auto withdrawn from your account, so we're really focused. And then we've had a few folks reach out to us now about shutting off. They want to shut off their service. They want to do something because they've been into their property. So for us, you can call our number 1-888-DIAL-PNM, and there's a prompt in there to, if you identify yourself as a resident of Ruidoso, you'll get immediately routed to a customer service rep, so you can talk to somebody in person and they'll go through your account options and everything else. But we're trying to do everything we can to take care of our customers here. We understand how critical that is, and so we've really put some focus up. We also have some information available on our website for the west side of the village where the damage was, so you can get some information there at pnm.com.
Thank you very much. And do you have just a rough number, or maybe you have an exact number of how many poles you're having to replace?
Our numbers kind of bounced around. You'll see some press releases. Our engineering team has been out surveying, so that adding to our vehicles out there, we have found about 1,300 poles that we're going to have to replace.
Wow.
So it's a lot of miles of line out there. We've had crews in Upper Canyon, in the Brady area, and Alpine Village, and we've been just swarming all over the place trying to restore service to homes that can safely receive it. And then we've broken off a couple of our crews to work up the Pikes Peak area, and also a couple of crews that are getting started in replacing. We have to completely rebuild a 5-mile section of line going up to Cow Mountain and Buck Mountain to get those communication sites back on. So we've had crews in there working, removing the damaged wire and the old poles, And then now we're gonna go back in and we're starting to rebuild. So those crews have been out there staging material, and we're gonna ramp up the construction starting tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And along with that note, the cellular companies, Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are getting back up, I think I heard around 80%. TDS, internet is still out. They lost their head in, but they're doing a lot of workarounds, and hopefully they'll be back up soon. So if we can go to, okay, we talked about the flood insurance and Upper Canyon. If we can go to, there he is, Adam Sanchez.
Thank you, Mayor. So working with a lot of entities, we're working with the Army Corps, the National Guard, even the National Weather Service to do assessments on Upper Canyon and the debris flows that are expected in Upper Canyon. When that fire went through there, it did crystallize some of the dirt, so that's something we're looking at. We did have some engineers look at it and a contractor. We are going to start mobilizing here in the next hopefully day or two and start doing some mitigation on the side of the mountain there, dropping some trees to try to stabilize that soil. As of today, my street department has moved some concrete barriers up there to try to mitigate some of the flooding if it does hit Upper Canyon. We do have a little bit of an umbrella over some of the trees that are left that's going to help us out, but there is still that potential for flooding.
And landslide?
Yes, that's the landslide. So the south mountain, or the south side of Main Road, past Second Bridge is what we're talking about here, as far as the mitigation and the stabilization that we're looking for.
And you're working on energizing Upper Canyon and some of the area there. How's that going?
So as of about 5 o'clock this evening, I did get the Upper Canyon back in water. So tomorrow morning, we'll kick the pumps on to fill the backwash tank. We call them the backwash tanks at the very end of Upper Canyon. And we will start feeding to Black Forest, and everybody will be back in water, except for the houses that burned and the houses that had water running that we did shut off. But the mains within the village of Ruidoso are charged, or will be charged tomorrow, and everybody will be back in water.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. And I know that we're filling our tanks.
Yes,
With the massive water loss that we had, we're gaining to where we're very functional.
so as of 5 o'clock today, when I showed up here, we were at 42 feet in the Alto tanks, which is almost full. Grindstone tanks, all of our other tanks are full, and we're doing it.
Exceptional. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. If we can go to our National Weather Service meteorologist, Bladen Breitenreiter. Did I get close? I know, I butcher it, used to.
Bladen, would you rather use the microphone and stand up?
I could do that.
Just stand still so we can follow you.
I'll do my best. I'm not known for being, in one place. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Bladen Breitenreiter, incident meteorologist. I'm acting as an emergency response specialist from the National Weather Service in Albuquerque. So we are set up for two very potentially active days, one of which we saw today. We had numerous coverage of thunderstorms in and around the area today. We got very lucky, and we're very thankful that none of these storms actually tracked over any of these vulnerable or sensitive areas today in the afternoon. We are still looking at the potential for this evening where we could see storms fire up again. Most likely we'll see widespread showers with embedded thunderstorms. And with this, this is what we would consider isolated thunderstorms within these showers. That still has the potential to create some pretty high impacts if they track over the wrong area. As we go into tomorrow, this is going to be a bit of a challenging forecast. We are completely dependent in how the atmosphere basically resets overnight. And, when I wake up in the morning, how much cloud coverage do we have? Are we going to actually get the instability or the air rising up that we need in order to fuel a lot of these thunderstorms in the afternoon? So a lot of what tomorrow looks like like is going to hedge on what happens tonight, how well the atmosphere resets in the morning, and how those conditions come together. So what I've kind of been telling people is for a best case scenario, we see kind of similar conditions to what we've seen the last couple days, where we have isolated to scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon that are very monsoon-ish. The worst case is we see something like what we saw today, where we have a lot of thunderstorms out there, any number of which could track over into that burn area and cause us some very serious problems. The biggest thing to keep in mind is that it's not about, is it isolated, is it scattered, is it numerous? It's about where these storms pop up, and if they pop up over an area that is going to be vulnerable to high rain rates and creating high-level impacts. So it's going to be kind of a roll of the dice every day as we move into monsoon season. And so it's my biggest thing is to just make sure that people are keeping track of what the weather is doing each day, making sure that if they receive warnings that they are, seeking higher ground and taking these things very seriously. Because while it might look like you have clear skies above you, localized and instant rainfall on the spine of the Sacramento Mountains could also cause impacts further downstream. So it's going to be a very sensitive situation as we continue to move forward into monsoon season. So.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Also, there's going to be FEMA assistance that, there's already FEMA everywhere, but this is personal assistance. They'll be here by Friday, the FEMA reps. And anybody that's been affected by the South Fork or Salt Fire may be eligible for FEMA assistance. The individual assistance program is to provide financial and direct services to those who have necessary expenses and serious needs that cannot be met through other means such as insurance. To determine eligibility for individual assistance, individuals will need to register with FEMA. Types of assistance available include housing, disaster unemployment assistance, personal property losses, and more. There will be a FEMA disaster survivor assistance team, or DSA, will visit hotels starting on Friday where individuals are trying to help register the individuals to the individual assistance program. Is Ms. DiPaolo here? Okay, thank you. If you'll hang around for any questions, thank you. So that kind of covers the bulk of it, but we will touch a little bit on insurance. Please, if you have insurance, reach out to your agents because as we clear areas, you will be able to go in with your adjusters. They will take a look. Also, we want to make sure that we have advocates that are for the insured, the policyholders, to make sure that you understand what your policy pays so that you can maximize your return on this. And then we're doing those to make them available to you. Also, we have the superintendent of insurance will be here tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow with her advocates here to make sure that things are coming in correctly because we've already had reports of different types of fraud, people that are not registered with FEMA. Right now, I do not believe that there are any contractors registered with FEMA. We have a way to do that. So the report was put out erroneously on Facebook and social media that local contractors will not be able to work, and that is not the case. We're going to make sure that that happens. There's a process for that. And so we will need to get you guys registered so that we can get those funds back to you in post-haste. But we're going to need everybody to make this happen. Does anybody have anything to add before we go to question and answers? Okay, let's go, Carrie.
Okay, the first question is, are there resources for businesses to apply for state and federal funds?
Yes, ma'am, and I failed to mention that. I apologize. That starting tomorrow or Friday. Liz, do you know? SBA, okay, SBA is currently here. They will be here tomorrow along with other FEMA representatives at the White Mountain area. So you can go in and fill out the applications there. Nope.
That's not true. I'm sorry. They're set up at the DRC in Roswell, but they will be here when we open the DRC, hopefully in the next few days.
Okay, Friday is what I was, okay. So, no problem. Check that. It'll be Friday for business assistance. You'll be able to come to the White Mountain Relief Center, which is the White Mountain
Relief Center?
communities, the complex, sports complex, everybody else knew it that way before, but I apologize. And we will have SBA, FEMA for personal assistance and everybody there at the same time. Next question.
Is debris defined as trees, or will they also remove burned home materials?
We'll have Mr. Queller back up.
So when it comes to the PPDR, the private property debris removal, it will be everything. There are guidance, if you choose not to go that way, there is guidance that we will set forth and distribute it through our public information office about how to sort it on the curb or on the right-of-way. And so you'll have like a wooded area section, you'll have a white matter area, so anything that is, that was destroyed during the fire, you'll have metal, you'll have hazardous waste, and so.
So it needs to be separated?
Yes, so it will be separated on the right-of-way, and then we'll come pick it up through our means, through our Public Works Department or our contractors.
So to be clear, burnt material, one pile, white goods like washers, dryers, refrigerators in another pile?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it'll be on the side of the road in the right-of-way, and we will get out graphics to the public on how to sort that. But when it comes to the private property debris removal, that contract company will do it for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
This one's to County Manager Randall Camp. What is the status of Cedar Creek when we will know whether our homes are standing?
We have the assessors heading in there as weather allows. You have to realize that right now Cedar Creek is extremely unstable and risky. We pull all the teams out during rain events or when the storm warnings go off, so it's taking us a bit longer than we wanted it to take. The USAR teams have basically cleared that, so we're hoping very soon, but the assessor probably won't be in there until Monday, to be quite honest. And it's not until we get the assessor's boots on the ground, pictures of the homes, going through methodically, that we can actually get that information. And the weather is a big player in this because anybody that's seen Cedar Creek act up lately, it's a place that you want to get out of when it starts to rain. So it's going to take us a little while.
Next question, ma'am.
Is our water contaminated?
No, it's not. Good question. We have had the New Mexico Environmental Department. We had the Environmental Bureau Chief here today, Mr. Kenny, and he is working, he's with the Health Department also to make sure that the water is safe. We're working with the Environmental Department. They've been checking different points throughout our water system. So far, our water is safe. It's still in advisory boil. So restaurants have been okay to open, but keep in mind that you need to check your ice machines, water, things like that. But right now, there's not been any volatile organic compounds in bacteria. The testing should be back tonight on the original tests that we've sent out. So right now, we're clear to go. And I want to make this very clear that it was the direct, immediate efforts of our water team that was able to get out and shut those off so that we didn't lose pressure, we didn't have contamination back into our system. And so that is very quick thinking, and it's going to save us in the long run. So thank you again. So our water is good to go now, but we're constantly updating, and if anything changes, we'll get it out immediately. Yes, ma'am, next question.
AC Minner, can you please explain the difference between an exclusion zone and the no entry zones?
So as this was set up, we identified areas that were directly affected by the fire. As we have limited resources, and we've been bringing resources in from outside to assist us in this effort to keep people out of those areas, we had to identify areas that we could safely put people and to keep that traffic going back into those affected areas. So that's how you've seen some of those areas that were different colors on the map. It's not that those areas were directly affected by the fire. Some of them were affected utility-wise, but not by fire. Ponderosa Heights, for example, I've been on the phone with Zia. They went through the other day. They were actually having their crews go through and purge all of those gas lines. So they were in there working on gas lines at that time. Once they were done with that, and we were able to push back in there and open some of that up. So some of it was related to utilities, but the other was access to resources to be able to safely keep people out of those. And as we start clearing some of those other areas further back, we should be able to start peeling those back further and further as we can.
Thank you. Well, can I add FEMA assistance number, 1-800-621-3362, 1-800-621-3362. Next question.
What do we do about Zia Gas turning on meters if we're not at our homes?
What I have been told, and I don't see anyone from Zia here, and it was my fault, I didn't get Leslie enough notice, that once their lines are back, they have a little lock that they put on it, and you're not to open that lock until they've been notified, so that they can make the gas turned on back to the your property safe. Go ahead, DC.
So in that effort, and I just explained about Ponderosa Heights being, with Zia Gas working in those areas, I've been in contact with Zia Natural Gas. What they've done is they've subcontracted with the plumbers in town locally who will be going door to door and putting door tags on the residences. So as you go back in, you can contact those plumbers, and they can come out and turn up your gas, relight everything, and they'll be authorized through Zia to be able to do those connections.
Good move. Thank you very much. Next question.
Mayor Crawford, how can a short-term rental property be best used to help out during this time?
And that's a great question, and so many of you have already offered that up, that we've been able to place first responders and then workers in the community are already in a lot of those, but those are available as people move into, that some of them have been converted to long-term rentals. So we're in that conversation with individual ownership to make sure. So far, everybody is understanding the situation and is happy to comply. We're just making sure that we have all the correct paperwork and that we can get a full list of those that are going to be in the program.
How long will resources like FEMA, insurance advocates, et cetera, be in the area?
And I've been told as long as needed, there won't be the full crew that we have now, and I'll direct, Ernie, do you have anything to add to that?
Sir, I don't have that information, but I can definitely get that for you this evening.
Okay, and we will have, again, any of these questions that we don't give a good quality answer to, you can always call the EOC number 575-258-6900, 258-6900. And we will try to get those answered. But I've been assured some of them are coming in late, but that they will be here, and there will be crews here for a considerable amount of time, I'm sure.
The next one is, you mentioned the engineers are looking at Upper Canyon to stabilize soil. Is that being done in other areas like Pikes Peak, or will that be left up to the individual homeowners?
Well, if there's anything that's identified, then we're certainly sending people in. The immediate concern, urgent-wise, is the Upper Canyon. Do you have anything to add to that, Adam?
The only thing I'll add to that is, the reason we're looking at so much in Upper Canyon is because of the river. The catastrophic failure of that, the mountainside in the Upper Canyon, and it taking it down to, the Downs and Hondo, and the steepness of those banks over there. Pikes Peak over here, you don't have you have some steep banks, but they're pretty stable. There's not a whole lot of it that burned on the edge of it.
And all this is related to the burn scar area that causes these floods. Plus, we just finished the repair of our sewer line through that area. Through there, we have a lot of resources there, a lot of homes. So we've already got measures and things in place to try to mitigate that, weather permitting.
If I might add, for the county residents, NRCS is out looking at treatments over the entire burn scar area and people downstream. So this is, we're looking at this holistically, village and county together, because there are things that will happen on the county that will transmit through the village and vice versa, and also with the Mescalero, because we're all tied in these watersheds together. So there are boots on the ground on the sides of all lines right now.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Eric, how will we get our debris removed if we are out of town?
I was taught how to use a microphone today, so with that, hopefully I'm doing it right. But so currently, we do have that process that I talked about, the PPDR. You don't have to be physically here in town to utilize that. And there also are national VOAD groups. And VOAD stands for Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. And so you can get a hold of them, again, by calling the EOC line. We'll give you those resources. And so with their permission, you can go into the exclusion zones, those areas, once they're cleared and safe for our services to get in there. You can have them help clear your properties. But again, with the PPDR, you don't physically have to be here. You just need to get the correct paperwork signed. And so that, again, can be coordinated through the EOC hotline.
Which is 575-258-6900. Those groups are already mobilized and coming to town, so we're set up for those, for long-term services. Next question.
County Manager Camp, if the assessor will be in Cedar Creek on Monday, is that when you think we will be allowed back, or is it possible we will be allowed back sooner?
No, the assessor will start working in Alto first and work down towards Cedar Creek. A lot is weather dependent. We have a team of about 5 assessors that will be out in the field, and depending on what they encounter, we don't know how fast it will be, but no, it's going to take later in the week. And Cedar Creek, like I said, is still highly subject to flooding, so until we know what we're really facing up there, I would say hold off a little bit. Thank you.
And Mayor Crawford, this may not be you, but is there a timeline when E-Barb, Redwood, and Maple will be removed from the exclusion zone?
DC, do you have anything to add to that?
So those areas are still, they are north of the Upper Canyon area, and those are the areas that we're going to try and scale back as much as we can, as fast as we can. I can tell you right now, there's still heavy flooding in the E-Barb area. We had one of our officers actually caught on the other side and was stuck up there until the flooding subsided. So working with our other city partners, the utilities, trying to make sure that we can get people in there safely, and that once they return, that there's not a concern that somebody's going to get stuck or even possibly get hit by those floodwaters and put anybody in danger. So we're working on that as fast as we can, try and identify those areas that we can safely open. I can't give a timeline as soon as that'll happen, but we're working as quick as we can.
Okay, and that concludes our Q&A. If you have any additional questions, please visit our Facebook page, and you can put questions in the comments.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending and showing, and I did get a notice that we'd maxed out our Zoom, and so people were texting me, we sent them to YouTube, so hopefully you caught enough of that. Again, any questions that you have can be directed to the EOC, the Emergency Operating Center, which is set up at the Convention Center, 575-258-6900. There was a little information that was confusing put out today that Representative Stansberry is going to have some folks here tomorrow along with others, and that will be at the White Mountain Relief Center area. So when FEMA and everyone's over there with the individual assistance, they will be there also. So yes, ma'am, Mr. Paulo.
Can I add that you can apply for FEMA assistance right now, you don't have to wait till Friday, so you know that.
Hang on, I'm going to have her come to the microphone.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everyone's aware, you can apply for FEMA assistance right now. That 800 number you just gave, the 6213362, I always get that backwards. You can call and do that. You can go to FEMAassistance.gov or disasterassistance.gov, so you don't have to wait for us. Get those registrations in online is probably the best way to do it. Get that started right away. And the same with SBA. They have a phone number, 800-659-2955. So they are also able, you can apply with them, and you don't have to be a small business to apply for SBA. If you're an individual who's been affected, you can also apply for SBA grant or loan, Small Business Association loan for disasters. So anyway, both of those are available now.
Thank you very much. Again, the FEMA assistance number is 800-621-3362. The SBA number, 1-800-659-2955. Anything that you can go online and register for, please do. It kind of gets you in the system. And to let you know, what's our foundation name? I get it confused.
Community Foundation of Lincoln County,
.org.
CFOLC.org.
They have been active in the community, taking funds out into the surrounding areas where we've had evacuees. They are working steadfast on applications. Now they're broadening their move so that you can reach them over at the community center and get applications there. You also can go online. So once again, everybody's working hard, working together. We certainly appreciate that. It's been an unbelievable effort from all the partners, and I could sit here and talk for the next 20 minutes about all the people that have given, the communities that have given, not just from New Mexico, but also from Texas, Arizona, all across the state. So we've got people all over the world, actually, that are listening and trying to fund us. And so it's going to be a long effort. This is just the beginning, and we're setting up for economic recovery. So we'll have a lot of discussions about that in the future. So if there's no more questions, we will move on and we'll get back to work. I know these guys have a briefing at the EOC. And so God be with you. Be safe. Thank you.